Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. There's a type of neighbor who calls the police every chance he gets, and that's exactly the type our OP encountered in our story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. That time I accidentally worked for the Russian mafia. I'm a professional baker and have worked for various companies developing recipes and the like. I found a job at a local grocery store working super early mornings on their pastries for the day. There were usually a few other people there, one of whom was a mixer. Mixers typically follow a spec sheet with the weights of all the ingredients they need to batch mix. It's kind of mindless work and doesn't require much thought. He was a young guy, fresh out of his teens. We became fast coworker friends and enjoyed chatting it up about baking. and I'd help him put our supply order away. Good times. One day, a woman with a thick Russian accent came in and handed us business cards. She told us whatever we're getting paid, her company would double it if we came to work for them. I scheduled an interview thinking this would be a great opportunity for me. It was a new grocery store concept, like a glitzy, glammy European-style Costco, whatever that means. When I went in for the interview, the place was literally still under construction. I met their lead baker and we hit it off right away. He warned me that the big boss had interesting tastes and that we'd need to work with that. No biggie, more money, let's go. They hired us both, and over the next several months, it was a really interesting and fun experience. The big boss, thick, burly Russian man to the point and perpetually angry, wanted this place to be like Costco, mass production of quality pastries. They were bringing in crazy amounts of new equipment, including folders, shapers, and injectors that were easily worth millions. We didn't have much equipment to start, and we're doing a lot of mixing in trash cans. Remember my mixer buddy? Well, he was working on the bread dough using spec sheets provided by our lead baker. Over time, they were bringing on more staff. It was a lot of fun developing new recipes, experimenting with ratios, and figuring out how to get over constraints for the types of products that boss wanted. Did I mention he was an a-hole? Oh yeah, when he was reviewing some cheesecake I'd made, he said, "Good job, sweetie." I came back with "Miss, ma'am," or "My name is fine." He scowled at me and from that point on treated me like garbage. We brought other women on staff. I watched him hit on them. Some of the others were cool with being sexually harassed, I guess. The place was paying top dollar and had to get in good with the big boss, right? So the stage is set here. Boss quickly turned his business into a game of Survivor. He'd fire people on the spot for whatever reason. One day, one of the people he sacked was our lead baker. It came as a surprise since he was developing all the recipes we'd be using. I inherited a lot of his notes, and his development work was divided between me and the mixer. So this whole time, Mixer was kissing Big Boss's butt pretty hard. He was seeing an open position with lead baker gone and quickly became invested in the idea of him running the bakery show and making some serious money. At the same time, my relationship with the big boss was quickly declining. For example, I had him sample some cinnamon rolls I'd made, and he came back with, "I hate these, they're terrible." "What do you not like?" "We can change anything about them. The dough, the filling, the icing? I don't know, I just don't like them." On a hunch, I gave some cinnamon rolls from the same batch to another lady there he had eyes for and asked her if she'd present them to him as her own. She offered him the same product I'd given him minutes before, and he loved it. Anyway, I noticed that my notes were out of place one day, and a coworker informed me my mixer buddy was stealing my work and presenting it as his own. He was also approaching me and asking a lot of baking questions, which was fine, but I knew that his knowledge of industrial ratio baking was mediocre at best. He was a mixer. Following a recipe is all he knew how to do. Knowing this, I made a decoy copy of my notes, but this time I put really awful recipes with huge amounts of salt or yeast. Anyone who knew how to build a recipe could probably look at it and go, "Whoa, that's a lot." Not Mixer Buddy. My original plan was to leave this in an obvious spot as bait and let him steal the awful recipes, but Big Boss had other plans. We sat down for a pre-launch meeting and he informed me I wasn't going to be working in the bakery anymore and was being relegated to store setup. Mixer was going to be taking over as the lead baker. Guess all that butt kissing really paid off, and I was to give him all my notes so far. "No problem, boss." One day later was when the fun really begins. Mixer mixed up a huge batch of super salty cake batter, and I heard Big Boss screaming at him about it. Way too much salt. That's not even where the fun begins. As we were setting up an industrial quantity baking equipment, we had to test the larger quantity mixing machines and did a test run for some bread dough with my decoy recipe that had triple the yeast and sugar. As it didn't come out right, Mixer had to throw it away. His choice? The dumpster out back in the dead heat of summer. Hundreds of pounds of dough. The fun thing about massive amounts of bread dough is that it doesn't magically stop rising if you throw it away, especially in a hot dumpster. A few hours later, I spied out back to see Mixer Buddy shoveling this massive blob of dough into trash bags that had exploded from the dumpster, like an uncovered blender spewing out a yeast-laden smoothie. Sweet revenge. Now about the mafia thing. This store was really strange. They'd been ordering doubles of all the crazy industrial baking equipment and storing it in the back. We had nowhere to put any of this. I also looked up the company they were subcontracted under, and it was to a dead address in Russia. Big Boss also had armed security guards everywhere. This was a grocery store, mind you. I had a feeling that this company was more of a front for laundering a bunch of money. I eventually was fired by Big Boss, which was great because I'd been job hunting, full well knowing this business was a sinking ship. I had a new job lined up already. They had their grand opening, did business for 3 months, then closed. R.I.P. Mixer. Some jobs just aren't worth the pain and trouble they put you through, no matter how much dough you're making. And our second story. You can keep your job offer. During the Egyptian Revolution, I lost my job as a software engineer, and after a while, aimlessly looking for a job, I went to the UAE, where my dad works as a teacher, and I gotta tell you, finding a job in Dubai is hard. Anyway, one day I got a call from a call center for a job interview with Etisalat, major telecom company in UAE and Middle East in general, for IT technical support position from recruitment company that I don't recall sending my CV to. It's okay, I had A+ training and I'm confident enough in my skills providing desktop support or something similar. Also, I might be able to change jobs within the company. The job was in very far Emirate, where it took me 3 hours and a half to get there, spending $35 on transportation with empty stomach just to be there at 10 a.m., and they wasted my time until 1 p.m. to get to my interview, only to find the job was for customer service position working in a call center. I was mad and PO'd. I went to talk to the other applicants, many of whom had computer degrees in engineering or network engineering, and apparently the recruitment company lied to us, tricking us under promise for IT engineer position or something similar. While Etisalat only wanted customer service people who knew what keyboard and mouse is. I went and got contact information for everyone there, and we added each other on Facebook. While taking my 3 hours and a half trip back home, I got a call from recruitment company telling me, "Congratulations. It gives us great pleasure to inform you that you've been shortlisted to be employed with our client." Well, they told me I have to be in Dubai tomorrow morning to sign up for their offer, but not only that, but the job starts in 5 days, so I had to look for an apartment, move my stuff, and look for roommates within 5 days. Also, there's no time to think about the offer either. You agree right there, right now, or it'll go to someone else. Yeah, right. I said yes, I'll be there as soon as I came back home. I contacted every applicant I talked to, and we all agreed to say yes and never show up. I can't tell you how satisfying it is when the recruiter called. He definitely sounded stressed and told me, "Why didn't you show up?" I said, "Bashkar, why did you lie to me on the phone and email about the position? They didn't want IT engineer, they wanted customer service." He was like, no, it was a mistake. I said, yeah, I made a mistake by saying yes, and I don't want to sign up to a company who lies its way for commission. I hanged up. You'd think they would never contact me again, but they did. Twice after that, they practically begged me to come. I acted as a smart butt as much as I could. "Well, how can I come when you said in your email that if I miss the appointment, the job will go to someone else?" You are a very important candidate for the job." "Well, did you raise the offer?" "No, you can get promoted." "Well, I'll consider it if you offer accommodation." Apparently, everybody I knew there turned their offer down, and I can imagine how effed their recruiter was. I hope he got ripped a new one from his manager, or Etisalat won't deal with this recruitment company again. I recently found out that Etisalat offered 7,000 AED for that position, while the recruiting company was offering 4,800. It's like more than 30% from your base salary. And our next story. Whiny neighbor complains about trailer. Gets a nice view of it. This story happened some years ago when I was still at my parents'. For context, where I live, we're allowed to park on the side of the street, not just in front of our own house. So my parents have a very whiny neighbor who likes to complain about anything and everything, be it a dog barking a little bit or our lawn not being mowed often enough, and he likes to call the cops over it. So one day, my father had his trailer parked on the street in front of our house, but it wasn't pinned to a vehicle. Apparently, this is not allowed, and our whiny neighbor called the cops on us because he didn't like to see the trailer in the street. So a nice policewoman knocks on our door and tells my dad he can't leave his trailer unpinned on the street. My father asks, what if it was pinned? Policewoman, then it's all good. My dad needed no more. He immediately pinned the trailer on his truck and left it parked on the street in front of the neighbor's house. If I remember correctly, he left it there for about 2 days, more than enough for a whiny neighbor to enjoy the view. Man, places with these silly rules boggle my mind. Why would they get instated in the first place? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.